Hello and welcome to another Guardians of Wiltshire video. I'm your host Dewi and welcome to another Not All Those Who Wander Are Lost community interview. This week I have the Fable Creative, which is made up of Andy Hamblin and Phil Beale. How are we, gents?
All good, thanks.
Pretty good.
Excellent. So this is going to go like some of the others. I know we've spoken a little bit beforehand that you've seen parts of them, so I'm going to ask you bits and pieces about your personal hobby, your collections, a little bit about gaming because I want to get more onto the kind of the Fable Creative and how you got into doing that together and kind of what you do within that. So we'll start with just how did you get into the hobby? I don't know who wants to take the lead.
Go for it, Andy. You were in first.
So we'll start with you, Andy.
How did I get into the hobby? So I started when I was 11, so that's 19, 20 years ago now. And it was purely because friends at school, I think we did like a show and tell, and somebody brought in some Space Marines. I was like, well, this is cool. I want on that. And yeah, it's my mum to allow me to get some. And yeah, it's kind of went from there, really.
Yeah, fair enough. Phil?
So 5 years ago, moved down to the West Country from London and thought, I know absolutely no one here. I'm going to need to make some friends somehow. I had sort of a ragtag collection of miniatures that I'd painted for D&D. So I thought I'd look up a wargaming group and see if I had anything that approximated an army, which I didn't. So I then started buying a lot more so that I could.
And you stumbled across the Radstock guys?
Yeah, they were the local collection.
Yeah, so we might as well go straight into that, kind of, because you two are based in Radstock, Somerset, if I'm correct. Yeah. I was going to say that's not too far from where I am, and we've bumped into each other quite a lot on the tournament scene throughout the past couple of years. So just explain a bit about your little group down there, because I know there's a fair few of you.
Yeah. So it's a wargaming club that we normally go to every Wednesday evening. And it's also open on Sundays as well for other people. So there's about sort of 10 Middle-earth players.
Yeah,
more.
Probably.
And that's regular every week, kind of playing. Yeah, and it's like, to be honest, so there's a collection of us that tend to go to the different tournaments that are around. Say about 6 of us, maybe 8 of us that actually go to these tournaments.
It was around about the time that I joined the club, probably 5 years ago. It hadn't had a lot of SPG being played for a long time. And then someone had invited Dean Broadway from the club to go to a doubles tournament at Warhammer World.
The notorious Dean Broadway.
The notorious Dean Broadway. And so, yeah, it sort of news spread that they were going up to this tournament, and a few people said, "Oh, dust the armies off." And so I quickly grabbed some Mordor and painted them it was 50 orcs in 2 weeks or something, so I could join into this doubles tournament. I think, I'd known everyone in the club for probably 3-4 weeks at this point, and we went off up for a trip to Nottingham.
That's the best way to go. That's the best way to go.
Baptism of fire, and haven't looked back at all.
Excellent. So we'll start with you, Andy. What's your favourite aspect of the hobby?
I should probably say painting, I guess.
That's what you're most well known for. I know that much.
No, I mean, to be fair, it's meeting people and meeting up with the people that you get to see at different events, in different places. It's nice to. It's obviously made kind of like friends and acquaintances through the hobby. It's always nice to get people that way, I guess. But additional to that, the painting is obviously a lot of fun as well.
And Phil?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think before the lockdown, I definitely would have said, "Oh, yeah, I'm in it for the painting." But having sort of lost the gaming aspect and the social aspect, it kind of drives home just how much that sort of group of friends has become important, and that you can paint everything you want. If you never get to use the models, nowhere near as fun.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I remember when I was younger, and I would paint Warriors Minas Tirith, Uruk-hai. I had a couple of. I think we had a little club at school and it was great. And then, but once you don't have that, there's no necessarily incentive to paint unless you set your own deadlines. There's no incentive to paint. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things. So Phil, what's your least favorite aspect of the hobby?
Can I get away with saying 40k players sliding into the scene? I don't like to play a boring game. I'm someone who doesn't particularly care if I win or lose, and if I realise that I'm winning a game and that my opponent's having a terrible time, I will start to do silly things just to make it more entertaining. So yeah, like I'm definitely in it for being entertained.
Good. Andy?
Kind of the same, but I'm a slightly more competitive person. So if instead of trying to make it more entertaining for myself, I make a point of then trying to force a win. So if they're starting to make the game boring, then I make a point of just start making sure that they have to do things. But yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I was going to say, I think me and you, Andy, are on a similar mindset that you play the game, but you also want to win.
Yeah, and that's something that's actually kind of developed with me within the last kind of like year and a bit. So
Yeah, I have noticed. I have noticed you sneaking up those tables.
Won your first tournament and suddenly...
Exactly, I won a tournament and then suddenly just sort of start. Do you know what? I've got a taste for this now.
He's tasted blood and he's going for it. So I know you guys that make up the Fable Creative, and you do commission paint jobs and conversions, if I'm correct.
Yep.
Yeah. So how do you find the balance between commission work, your own painting of models, making of terrain, gaming, kind of how do you strike that in a way that suits you?
So one of the things that we've been pretty terrible about for a long time is getting our name out there. We'll paint some stuff, post it up, and then completely forget about the page for a long time. So it leads to a sort of pleasant trickle feed of stuff coming in. The inspiration is one of the things that I find is really key. I've got a commission on at the moment to do a 40k army for one of the guys at the club.
Okay.
And I've got no personal interest in playing or painting 40k armies.
Right, I see.
I've also got a big stack of Iron Hills dwarves waiting on my desk. I'm itching to get my hands on them. So it's like, okay, yeah, paint this army, get it out of the way, then I can reward myself with getting something for me done.
So me, I can admit that I do struggle to balance my own with the commission stuff. So I've just recently, yesterday, finished something for Sean Creed.
Oh yeah, he spoke to me about it the other day.
Yeah.
He said he asked you about it or something like that.
Yeah, I managed to finish it yesterday, which was nice. And then now I'm starting on some Gun the Bad Orcs for Dan Smith Art Club.
Okay.
So, and then once they're out of the way, I've also got something else for the same person that Phil's working for, and then I can start on my own thing.
Okay.
Itching to do as well. So
I know what you mean. I've done a few commission conversions for a couple of people, and I've got one sat on my desk at the moment. And yeah, you kind of it's sat there and it's staring at you, and you're like, I just want to do my own, but I know I've got to do this.
Exactly.
And I don't know about you, but I tend to say to the person, if it's like mine are all conversions, I haven't done any painting for anyone. But if it's a single piece, I'll say, right, I'll try and turn it around within a week, or at least get it posted like a week later once I've received the product. Just because then I know I've said to them it's going out on this date. Kind of.
Yeah.
You've got to get it done.
One of the key things is you find that as a tournament starts to loom on the horizon, you'll suddenly get a couple of people saying, any chance you could paint an entire army for me by next month?
Oh, jeez.
And it's like, well, we can, but you're not going to get really a great display army out of it. You'll get an army that's been painted as quickly as possible because you need it.
Do you split the commission? Do you both work on the same commission project, or do you kind of split it between you to kind of who it suits more, paint job and paint schemes wise?
10. Okay, so at the moment I think this is the first one that we've split. I know we've talked about it once before, but this is the first one. Apart from that, it tends to be more who wants to do it, as well as who suits it. So I'll tend to normally get the 40k stuff because I don't mind doing it. And Phil will probably get more of the sort of like fantasy-esque stuff.
Okay.
I tend to take slightly more of the conversion work as well, I think.
Yeah, he does a lot of the conversion stuff.
I was going to say, because I've seen you do a catapult troll, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah.
I've seen that float around. I've seen that float around quite a few times.
Yeah. That was terrifying to do, really. But it was probably the most expensive model I've done extensive conversion work on. As I'm looking at this block of resin and the hobby sword, just carving chunks of it off, thinking, I really hope
was it the Gundabad troll, the 80mm base?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
It started off as a Scything Gauntlet troll, and so it was a lot because I had to completely redo the midsection to turn it so it was facing downwards, re-sculpt all the arm and the shoulder, turn the head because the head is turned to one side, and I wanted it ahead and down. And
oh, jeez.
I think it was probably about 30% green stuff by the time I was done with it.
Wow. I was going to say, mine have all been, can I have this hero mounted? Yeah, sure.
The one conversion one I've done was a 4-long, so...
Yeah, I've done 2 or 3 4-longs. I've got my second or third Faramir Ranger in front of me. 3 Elendils, 3 Glorfindels, Gilgalad a couple of times. I've done 3 different Gilgalad models because of the base model. So yeah.
The thing then is, you have your own versions of those. Have you actually got your own ones?
I have my own 4-long Faramir Ranger and armored Glorfindel. And I converted an old metal Radagast on horse.
Okay.
But I've got a Minister's Captain on horse that I converted out of a Kyrian for my old Skiliath Rangers. But I think that's the only ones I've got for myself. Yeah, the other ones an Isildur and a Elendil. I don't run Numenor. Don't plan on running Numenor. I haven't got any knights, so I don't run Elrond. I've got a Gilgalad somewhere, but I'm not fussed on elves at all. So 4-long is the one that's seen the most use.
Good man. Not fussed on elves. That's what I like to hear.
So we'll move on to your collections. What is the size of them? That's always a good place to start.
So
you go first, Phil.
Dean Broadway has mentioned from the club before, and we have an annual 2,000 point Christmas game.
I've seen them. They're amazing.
And
they are absolutely amazing.
I try to make it a single faction, so it means that most of the armies I'm painting, I've got an end goal of 2,000 points.
That's a good effort.
It racks up really quickly, actually, because you sort of knock out the few big heroes, and you get to 1,000 points with sort of 5 warbands.
Yeah.
But then you've used all the big names, and suddenly you're using generic captains and thinking, I've got another 8 warbands to go to make up that other 1,000 points.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's across 8 or 9 different armies, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So a lot of them are in a state of they've got to about 1,500 and I've stalled.
Because how many 2,000 point games have you played? Because I've seen 2 or 3, I think.
4 so far.
4.
I think it's been going on for 4
What
years.
have you used for those 4? That's my interest.
So first one was Mordor.
Yeah.
The second one I think was also Mordor. Then we started alternating between good and evil. So last year was 2,000 points of Corsairs with a Mumak.
Okay.
And I've also done 2,000 points of Army of the Dead.
Yeah, fair enough.
That was a little bit of an accident when the Pelennor set came out. Almost everyone in the club said, "Oh, I'll buy a Pelennor set. Oh, I don't really want to do Army of the Dead. Oh, okay, I'll take them." Suddenly, I think I'd got some off eBay as well. I had 93 Warriors of the Dead to paint.
Oh, jeez. I thought painting 50 was bad.
I've done another 20 since then.
Oh, jeez. So, Andy, the size of your collection, because I know I've seen you run a couple of different armies at varying points.
Yeah. So I've probably got. I haven't done the points for my Lothlorien since the rule change. To be fair, but they're probably about 1,200, maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
I've got Khazad-dûm dwarfs, and they are about 800 to 900. Like painted. I've got Rangers and Warriors for days that aren't painted yet.
Haven't we all?
So I've got about nearly 2,000 points of Angmar, but it's not a massive model count because I have so many Spectres painted and I have so many Trolls painted.
Oh, yeah, how many Spectres do you have?
20.
20, okay.
Yeah. I took that to the GT a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And they didn't do very well at all. So they then suddenly became what I only need like 3.
I was going to say, because you kind of worked out your Angmar list backwards, didn't you? By going, I want all the Spectres, and then going, no, I do actually need some Orcs.
Basically. Like, I want to do an all spec. So the first tournament we went to was at doubles, and I took Army of the Dead, and my partner Charlie took Dwarfs. Then we were like, okay, so I'm going to need to get an evil army ready for GT, because GT got announced then.
Yeah.
I just realized, I don't like orcs, I don't like goblins. I put together like some combination of like wargs, cave drake, murder. It's like back when, obviously, before the rules changed.
Yeah.
And after that, I was kind of like, I'm going to do an all spirit Omar army because I've got the starts of an Omar army. That was when I was like, yeah, I need some orcs.
Yeah.
Then yes, I've got that. Then I've got 1,000 points of Harad painted. And which I've started a Dunland Force, but I haven't really got anywhere with it yet.
Okay.
It's a good, again, sort of couple more things. There's about 900 points worth.
Oh, wow. Sweet. So what's your favourite miniature that you own? That could be sculpt, rules, your paint job, the conversion work. What is the one piece that you wouldn't do without?
So I think both paint job and rules, it's Dalamir from the Corsair Army.
Nice.
He's my man, and I've painted the same model 3 times and sort of come back to it and said I can do better.
As in like just stripped him completely and started again.
Started again. Sculpt wise, he's pretty static.
Yeah, that's the one downside of him, I would say.
I think my conversion for the Knight of Umbar on the Fell Beast bursting up out of the water with his shark is probably my favourite.
I was going to say, if no one's seen that, head over to the GBHL and search Phil's Knight of Umbar. It is incredible.
Cheers.
Just, who would have thought of a shark?
The trained marine biologist.
Yeah. Well, it's the best thing about it really is that the shark has got a pilot fish trailing in the water off of its nose because it had to.
Yeah, fair enough. Attention to detail.
The best thing is with Phil does anything like that is you only have to give one hint of an idea of something that he could do with it, and he will do it.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a bit of an affliction, really. Oh, Phil, you should add this to it. Yeah, okay, gotcha. No, I can't not.
One of those nagging thoughts. So, Andy, what's your favourite miniature that you
own? one that always, I mean, to be fair, it's not my favourite, but the one that people always sort of ask me about, always stands out, is my Wiltshire game.
Oh,
It's
yes.
not my favourite.
What about your damned Stormcaller?
I was not a fan of Florian Stormcaller.
Okay.
We've had enough games between us when I've used it, and it's just completely changed the game when it really shouldn't.
Oh, just a lucky roll, or
just knocking the Moomac Commander straight off the top of the Howdah turn 1.
That's incredible.
It's a solid tactic. It worked.
Yeah. I've tried to run a Barrow White up a cliff to paralyze the commander before. That didn't work. I got shot to pieces beforehand.
So that was our first round of skulls, and we came up against each other, and we were just like, "Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm just going to try and get that commander off the top."
Yeah.
Turn, boom. My favourite model to use is Gulliver.
Yes.
It's just so much fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. When you get to sort of like the higher end competitive games, he's not fun at all because you're constantly having to think so much about what you're going to do with him. But in most games, it's so easy just to say, I'm just going to move here. Oh, he's so much fun.
Yeah. I've used him once, I think.
Yeah.
Seeing as how I play Angmar like a lot, I've only used him once, and he was fun. It was in Chaos and Ardacon. I had him, 2 Cave Trolls, and 6 Wild Riders and 6 Spectres or something stupid. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do whatever I want.
My favourite one that I've painted is my Raza.
Okay.
It was just a nice. It's the first model I painted for it. It's probably the reason why I did the army. And it was nice to do something more like that, where it's got a bit more bright colours. Like, I've been working on my skin tones a bit, and it came out really nicely on him. So it's just a great model to paint.
I was going to say him and Delgramar definitely are some of the Forge World models that lend themselves to a really nice paint job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's your most underrated model in your collection, from your opinion? Again, it's sculpt rules, whatever you think.
So for me, it's similar to, and Damien did his a few months ago or a month ago. And for me, it's the Wildlife Chieftain.
Okay, yes.
I just can't. It's one of those ones that I always want to put in my army, but I know I can't because it's never going to do very well. But it's just still one of my favourites to use, and the model's great.
The model's amazing.
Yeah.
The model is amazing.
I think for the most underrated model that Damien put up on the page, I've volunteered one of the Corsairs with his spear and the bald head for sculpt, because I think he's just such a characterful model.
Oh, that chap.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yes.
There's just something about it. I think I've got 3 or 4 of him in
I've got
my army, and
4.
just every time I painted him, he's come out totally different.
Yeah. No, he's the one I chose to do my little Corsair kind of tabletop standard painting tutorial on, just because I was like, he looks really cool.
And possibly actually to stick with the rules as well. Like a Corsair warrior, everyone's worrying about your Arbalestas and your Reavers, and then you turn around with 30 odd people with throwing weapons.
I was going to say, it's the throwing weapons that
different things to worry about.
It's the throwing weapons that really suck.
I have a bit of an obsession with throwing weapons. I tend to theme my armies around them.
That's a look from Andy of just.
He does.
I've got the All Grimhammer army of Thror.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I know when Ali King uses them, and he uses enough of them to cause people problems. But imagine a whole army of them would just, especially with their defense buff now being defense 7. Very, very good. So You sound like a bit of a collector. I know I've spoken to Andy a bit more about collecting, just in general, when we're at tournaments more than yourself, Phil. But are there any specific models that you wish that could come back for a made to order? Like any out of production models that aren't in the range currently?
It's an interesting one. That an unpopular opinion for a hobby painter is that I'm not a fan of metals.
Okay.
The detail's fantastic, but I hate the way that as soon as you painted it, you look at it and it starts chipping.
Yeah.
So I think in general, I'm a lot more excited to see some amazing new sculpts coming out from Forge World. Forge World Resin is a dream to work with. A lot of the older stuff, the metals, there are some beautiful models in there, but I think for the most part, I've got everything that I wish was in the range.
Oh, nice. Andy's having a good look at his shelves.
I'm trying to work out. I can't think. I mean, looking forward to Arnold coming back because I quite like to start them properly.
Have you got like a smattering here and there then?
Yeah, I've got a few. Like I started a battle company off them.
Okay.
So I started sort of getting a bit more for it. From that, I mean, so obviously with the new AMA model coming out, it's great. It's awesome. It's beautiful. I'm a real big fan of the Hell in the Field one.
The Night of the Penlaw, where the horse is kind of
and he's looking backwards.
Yeah.
It's one of my favourite models. I know I never use it because I don't have a Rohan army, but it's still.
It's one you want. Yeah, no, I was the same. I managed to pick that and the double-bladed Hasharan up when that was out of production, and I've got both of them in metal, which is really, really nice.
That would actually, like, if he'd not recently come back, that would have been the model that I'd have wanted back in production, was the double-bladed Hasharan.
Because is he back in Finecast?
He's back in Finecast, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, I managed to find a metal one. Someone put it up on a trade group, and I was on my way home from work on the train and was like, oh, yes, I'll message you straight away. I don't even care how much it is. Yes, please. So moving on to the gaming side of things, do either of you play any other systems apart from SVG to start with?
I've dabbled in a little bit. Like I know guys from the club are starting to get more into it again, because obviously with the recent announcement of 9th edition being released soon. So I've dabbled a little bit in it. Like I have started Sisters of Battle Army because they were one of the armies when I was growing up that I always wanted but never could.
Okay, yeah.
So there's that. I'm a big fan of Underworld. I'm a really big fan of it. It's just a really good, quick, easy game to pick up. From that, I really played a Sigmar a lot, unfortunately. It's one I used to play a lot of fantasy. Like when I started, it was fantasy.
Okay.
Fantasy, and I played that up until it became Age of Sigmar. And it just sort of ever occasionally play a game. And apart from that, outside of GW, play Wild West Exodus, which is a lot of fun.
Okay.
Nothing else really.
Phil?
Not hugely. I built up a couple of warbands of Frostgrave Wizard and Followers when that was sort of having its first outing. I've also got into the Night Models Harry Potter miniatures game.
Oh, yes. I've seen some of them. They're really cool.
It's a fantastic gateway drug for the wife. We play an awful lot of board games in our house, and this was kind of the stepping stone between the board games and the sort of tabletop miniatures games.
Yeah. No, because I know Luke picked up some of the first sets, I think. So I'm not sure how many he's got, but the models themselves are incredible.
We ended up writing quite a lot of house rules to sort of finish the gaming system off.
Okay.
Sort of some of the game missions, you find it sort of, you start in one position on the board and the goal is at the other. and you've got 6 rounds, you don't actually have enough movement to get to the goal over the course of the game length.
Oh, that's awkward.
So we added some extra rules in to make it playable. But yeah, I've played a lot of D&D over the years and things like that. So not so many tabletop gaming systems,
but that's how you got into kind of miniatures as a general.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So I know we kind of touched on it, and kind of Andy, you're starting to get a bit more competitive, and Phil, you just like having a bit of a giggle across the table. But what armies do you generally use the most?
So obviously my Angmar sees a lot of play.
Yeah.
And then as my Angmar, I would probably at the moment before lockdown it was my dwarfs, but I've used my Lothlorien a fair amount as well.
They're the 3 that I've seen the most, I would say.
To be fair, apart from my Harad, they're the only sort of like 4 armies I have painted.
Okay.
I've only used my Harad at Gold last year.
Right.
Yeah, so it's those 3.
I'll always enjoy rolling out my Corsairs. They are like my go-to.
I'm very much looking forward to using mine.
They're so fun. It's amazing, really, that over the rules change from the Hobbit to the Middle Earth edition. The way that Umbar played changed quite a lot for me. I found that they used to be really, really good against elves and couldn't touch a dwarf army. And then suddenly, with the switch that the Reavers have lost their fight 5, but got that extra +1 to wound, you've got an army of tin openers that are just waiting to take the dwarves apart now.
Do you have axes on your Reavers?
I do, yeah.
He's not competitive at all.
Is that from the old edition, or?
It is mostly from the old edition. I had 10 Reavers that I'd done with axes from the old, and I finished them off to a warband of 12.
Okay.
Round it out, and I thought, well, they've started with axes, they may as well finish.
I was going to say, if you've got 10 already, then it's kind of a bit weird, isn't it?
And the old one, sort of, most of them had an axe and a nautical themed weapon. So they had
cool.
nets and belaying pins and things like that. But the new ones have just got axes. That came in from the advice. I looked up on the page, thought, okay, type in Reavers, and like 100% of the advice was, just give them axes.
Yeah.
So,
I was going to say, I hand on heart, mine have all got swords. They've all got swords. Because I couldn't be bothered to go out and find axes. That was predominantly the reason.
My justification for still having them to myself now is you pay the point, it makes them 10 points, it makes list building really easy, it's decimalized.
So if you were to choose a new army, would you choose it on the miniatures or the rules or a combination of both or heroes?
Miniatures.
Yeah,
miniatures. So the big example for me is my Dunland. Before they announced Dunland last year, I like them anyway because I just really like their aesthetic and the way they look and everything like that. And then when they were talking about them in the 7 Art Throne of Skulls, they melted because the minis are just so pretty.
The new heroes are phenomenal.
I genuinely think he stopped breathing for about 5 minutes whilst they were previewing the model.
I couldn't gasp any more than I had already. And then like I said earlier, I do want to start an Arnor army, and that again is really down to the minis because they're really nice minis.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me. I want to be inspired to. I won't put anything on the table until it's painted.
Even practice games or
no, like until it's painted, I'm not playing with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I have to be inspired to paint it because if it turns out that it doesn't play well, I'm gonna have it painted already.
That's a really good way of thinking about it, to be honest.
The only exception I made to that recently is my Dunland, because I was too excited to get them on the table. Like, oh yeah, I've got like, these two guys that are painted. How many points are playing? 700. Well, I've got two guys.
That's always fun though, because as you're killing your way down the lines, the painted model keeps moving along to stay on the table.
Yeah, yeah, I've done that before. So, what going to a tournament or having a friendly game or playing within the club or whatever? What's your kind of favourite points level to play, and is there a reason for
um,
I personally really enjoy the 1,000 points Throne of Skulls. I think at 1,000 points, you've got enough space in the army to put all of the big damn heroes in. So you've got models that you're excited about, but you've also got enough that you can balance out the rest of the army. You're not worried about spending the points on them.
Yeah.
So in a friendly game, I would say 800 up because of that exact reason. It's nice just to be able to play with things you may not normally get to use.
Yeah.
Tournaments, I quite like that sort of like 500, 550 because I've played a few of them, enough of them now that I've kind of gotten used to that points level.
Okay. I find 500 the hardest points level to write for.
Maybe it's just my own thing. Because everyone else finds it so hard, I find it easy.
Yeah, no, I honestly don't know. But yeah, I find 500 points is a real nightmare to try and write any faction. It's a nightmare.
The sort of I have a massive love for doubles games, and that's always great fun. But you suddenly realise that you're playing an 800-point game, but you're only writing a 400-point list, and it's like list writing with one hand tied behind your back. I just want to throw more in there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I find when writing a doubles list, I haven't done much of it personally, but when I kind of, whoever I'm partnered with, will kind of write the list together and write an 800-point list and then try and split it down the middle.
Yeah.
Because I find that's easier. Sometimes you get weird combinations, because I know I've chatted to Luke and Sean about this when they went to a doubles event in January. And they were like Oh, did you? Yeah, and they're 900 points, if I'm correct, of Army of Gothmog, or whatever the points was.
Yeah.
They ended up having a really weird split with it. So it was like Guritz and a shaman with a catapult in one half of the army, and Gothmog and a drummer and something else in the other half, and it was just bizarre.
I ended up playing against that, and it was the Army of Thor and Iron Hills alliance that we were using in Recon, just watching that catapult and the drum and the heroic marches going.
Little legs versus very quick orcs.
It was a really good fun game, actually. We did manage to destroy the catapult and kill the troll.
That must have taken you forever to get there.
Yeah, it was the last turn. We finally got to the other side of the board. We realised, like, no one was leaving the board, so we may as well take care of the monster.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So at a tournament, or in general, again, because I know you guys play a lot at the club, do you prefer good versus evil, or do you not mind?
Oh, 100% good versus evil, yeah. I think the game is balanced with that in mind.
Yeah.
But that it probably comes because I always choose to play evil if the option is available to me. I sort of.
Is it just from looking at what I've got painted, I'm exactly the same.
Probably a compatible personality thing. But
yeah, let's not go into that, because that could lead to some rabbit holes.
But because Donks plays a lot of Angmar, I've played a lot of evil against Angmar, and that sort of lacking courage value against the pure terror army, you always feel like you're on the back foot.
Yeah, it can be tough.
I mean, I do prefer good versus evil. It's exactly the same thing. It just makes it feel a bit more balanced. It just feels more right.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
From a cinematic perspective, sort of just you can get behind a good versus evil game a lot easier.
Yeah, because have you kind of? I think the profiles are written for good versus evil and scenarios in mind. because I don't know how much you've read of all the scenarios in Gondor at War and Rohan, that kind of thing. But doing my Legendary Legion videos, you notice that a lot of the rules for scenarios get taken over into profiles, and especially the legions, with like for Frodo and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
you do notice it's like, oh, okay, so that Legendary Legion rule has come from this certain scenario, and like I said, I think good versus evil scenarios, that's what they're written for.
it's all very cool.
Carry on.
It's all very cool. I mean, obviously the fact is that they make it is designed in mind to be good versus evil. When you get those little rules transfer over from scenarios into legions, or future rules for models that may not be around yet, for example.
Yeah.
It just makes it just does make it better.
I was gonna say, I think especially people who are newer to the game get drawn in by that. Oh, I've got a Thorin and you've got an Azog, or I've got an Aragorn and you've got a Gothmog, or that kind of thing. And it just, when you see two big heroes, especially like big heroes, just go, there's one gap and there's another big hero, and you're like, yeah, sod it. In he goes. And yeah, you kind of hope for the best. I think that's what draws a lot of people in.
Yeah.
So I know we're in lockdown currently. So we're filming this, and this will come out kind of 2 weeks later, I think. Are there any upcoming events that you're hoping to attend?
So there was obviously your one, which is now being moved.
Yeah, so mine was supposed to be the first weekend of July, and it's been moved to October.
So there's that one. Was looking forward to doubles for GW. Obviously, that got, I assumed, completely just cancelled. They never sold tickets.
I don't know when that was supposed to be for.
It was meant to be the week after your tournament.
Okay.
When they announced it first, that was really good. Apart from that, there's always Reading every year, Warfare. That's always good fun.
Yeah, especially for us guys down south, it's a chance to have a bigger tournament.
Exactly, yeah.
Because like I was explaining to Calman and Matt on the last 2 episodes, for us, it's like a 4-hour trip if you want to go to a big tournament.
Yeah.
And we seem to all bump into each other in the same services, which we've done a couple of times.
We have.
Especially on the way back from Nottingham.
The first time when you and probably caught, so I think it was me and Charlie, we just sat down, and then you pop your head around the corner, and it's like, hello?
I was going to say, because I didn't think I knew you guys very well then, but I know Clubly knew you, Andy, and spoken a few times. And yeah, he was like, oh, that's the Radstock guys. And I was like, okay. And we're like, oh, hello. I've just seen you all weekend, and we're on the way home down south, but hello again. So, kind of moving on and talking about your community kind of stuff, is there an army or a player, this can be within your club, someone you've played at a tournament a few times, that you struggle to play against? Or like an army or a Legendary Legion that you struggle to play against?
I think I probably have armies that I struggle to play more than I struggle to play against. To the GT 2 years ago, I thought, I'll take an all hero list. That'll be fun. I'll take the Blackgate Legendary Legion. I'll just plump it full of big names.
Oh, is that the Men of the West?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've recorded the Legendary Legion video today, and writing lists for that was a nightmare.
Yeah. I think 700 points was Aragorn, Gandalf, the White, Legolas, Gimli, Merry, and Pippin. And that was it. That was full. And I really I play pretty recklessly. So having quite a lot of guys that you can spare, and it doesn't matter too much if you lose a few through reckless action, is really key for my playstyle. Those sort of 6 models did not allow me to do that.
I was going to say, saying you play a lot of Corsairs and being reckless kind of goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Yeah.
One army, if I ever see that I'm about to play against it and I don't enjoy playing against it, is Mordor.
Really?
I don't enjoy playing against Mordor, especially if it's full of Morannons. I just usually with my elves, to be fair, like elves against Morannons is not a great matchup.
No, not especially.
But, I mean, from that particular model, the particular model I've always struggled against, like still haven't quite worked out how to beat it in my own way, is the Watcher in the Water.
Okay.
Played against it 3 times and I've lost each time. To be fair, the last 2 times was at the last 2 Throne of Skulls. It was against Callum Fairbrother.
Okay, yes.
His first was with his Moria, and it just trounced me. And that was the first game 2 years ago. And then first game, that's just been against, he did it more like sort of mortal, so he had Corsairs, and then he had the Watcher of the Water as like a Kraken.
Oh, God.
And I came closer in that game because my Harad was just able to do, I think I took 3 wounds off it with just shooting in 1 turn.
Oh, wow.
Which was a little ray of hope, which didn't ever turn into anything better. The Watcher was the one that I'm not a huge fan to play against. and really,
I think I always end up hanging my head when I get to sort of my 4th game of the tournament against elves and just think, more pointy ears.
Yeah, elves are one that I'm not favourable to. I not particularly like playing them, and I don't particularly like coming up against them.
If you get 1 game against the elves, it's nice. If you get to smash a big elven hero into the ground, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But when I have played a tournament where I had Mordor, and every single game I came up against elves, and I was coming up against nothing but 6s. You're like, I'd just like to tie on fight value at some point.
Yeah, the thing about smashing elf heroes was that that tournament in Bristol in February that we were at.
Yeah.
The only game I lost was against Lothlorien, pretty much because the Witch King didn't want to win a fight, which would have allowed him to chew on a paralysed Celeborn.
Oh, no.
Because he didn't want to win that fight, that didn't win me the game.
Oh.
But, yeah.
I was going to say, with Angmar, when you've got a paralysed hero and you don't do anything to it, it feels like such a missed opportunity.
So the worst point of that is that I paralysed him. So I was like, cool, he's paralysed, I charged the Witch King in. Then counter-charged me with 1 elf, and I'm like, that's fine. I really need to make sure I win the fight, so I'm going to strike, because there's no point in not, I have to take this risk. I think he might have even had a fight. He was fighting 5. I was 5-5, struck up, so I was higher. And then he then rolled a 5 high with no might left, and he rolled a 6.
Oh.
It's like, oh man.
So demoralising.
And I was like, oh, that explains this game.
So what's your favourite game you've ever played, or have you got like a top moment that stands out in a game that could have been quite boring but then suddenly went out of nowhere? I'm imagining Phil's got some quite amusing moments.
Yeah, so doubles at Warhammer World last year. Unfortunately, Dean Broadway again was meant to be my partner for that. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. He had a family illness, so it was just me. I ended up playing against Adam Troke and Damien Aban for the last game, and I'd got Easterlings, loads of cavalry, loads of troops, and they'd got the Grey Company. So I think they had 8 models between the 2 of them.
Oh, and, I think I remember seeing that army.
It came up as Recon, and I was like, oh, well, yeah, this will be fun. And I looked at it, I thought, I can't play a game where I just ride my cav off the corner and we don't do anything for this. So I sent everything I had straight into the middle, into this band of heroes, and got slowly whittled down over the course of the game. sort of, I ended up with foot troops pushing for the board edge, going straight through the middle, and the game ended sort of one turn away from someone getting off the draw. Ended up being a loss, and I've never had more fun. It would have been a really dull game to have played it sensibly.
Yeah, especially
and for both of us,
especially
as
at Throne
well.
of Skulls, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, for both of us as well. I mean, it's no fun looking at a board and just thinking, there's no point in me being here.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'd always rather give someone a good experience than a bad. And then I came up on the other side of it at the GT just gone. I was playing my Corsairs, came up against Fellowship and Rohan Alliance, charged 8 or 9 Corsairs into Aragorn and surrounded him.
Okay.
And then watched him roll 4 2s on his.
Oh wow!
Having already used his 3-point of might to do the move to get the charge off on his horse, and I was just like, okay, so you can't manage a 6 here, and there's a lot of Corsairs attacking you. So that was quite a moment. I think I did 11 wounds to him on that turn.
Fair enough.
I've probably got a few, to be fair. So a recent highlight was at the last GT. I played on the live stream against Evan, and a dwarf warrior killed the Witch King.
I watched that back. Because it was Storm the Camp, wasn't it?
Storm the Camp.
Yeah.
And it turned out to throughout the whole game, it doesn't look. When you watch it, it doesn't look close at all. But it was the final result was so close, and that if it had one less guy in my camp, I would have won the game like 6-4. But he ended up winning 10-4.
Oh jeez.
That last guy that died was what broke me.
Oh no.
But yeah, to watch having that moment when the dwarf warrior killed Witch King was a definite highlight. I mean not for Devin.
When something like that happens, you just gotta kind of giggle, though, don't you? You kind of be like, well, it is a dice game at the end of the game. And
exactly. He tried to talk him out of it. He was just like, it's like, do I let it through? It's like, he's not going to do anything. I was like, he probably won't do anything, but you never know. And then,
oh dear.
Yeah, I mean, I've had. To be fair, apart from that, it was obviously what we mentioned earlier. It's my Stormcaller against Phil's Mumak, and that was also obviously a lot of fun. Same tournament. I mean, thank you for up. I managed to play against Dean at the same Throne of Skulls, and he had a signal tower.
So you're just blowing all the lieutenants off?
I was just blowing the lieutenants off the signal tower.
Oh, that's great.
But then also at a tournament at Big last year, I was getting a tournament. I was playing against Dave Clark.
Yeah.
With my Lothlorien against his Gondor. It was capturing control, and it basically came down to I had my Stormcaller sat on one of these objectives, and Elisar charged him. I'd already shot him off his horse, and for about 2 or 3 turns, I kept winning the fights.
Oh no!
So it's just like, this is my objective, to keep backing away, never getting it. Elisar should kill him every day of the week, but it just didn't happen.
So you mentioned Warhammer World quite a lot, both of you, and I know you Radstock boys are a big fan of going up to the GT Throne of Skulls doubles whenever you get the opportunity. What is your favourite tournament? Would it be one of the Warhammer World ones or a different one?
I think for me it's got to be Throne of Skulls. Just the attitude that goes alongside it is so fun. Sort of getting to see people playing armies that aren't necessarily competitive but are just fun or cinematic.
Yeah.
And everyone just trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
I think also credit has to go to the Middle Earth team. When you're up at Warhammer World, you get the seminar after the first day's gaming, which, you know, sometimes they're playing and then suddenly they're back at work come 9 o'clock at night to, you know, give the fans a bit of a treat, which is really fantastic.
If it's Jay, sometimes with beer in hand.
And Jay's quizzes are probably some of the biggest high points of going up to the tournament.
They are very good. My favourite round is when, and I know he watches these. My favourite round is when he gets his little red stick and he's doing all the different poses. That just cracks me up every time.
I've actually turned out to be really terrible at that round because very few of my heroes don't have at least some form of conversion to them.
Oh.
So I'm looking at a pose for a model that I'm using at this tournament, thinking I don't recognise that at all.
Number of times we've had to say, it feels like, I think it's this, like it doesn't look anything like that. Phil. The actual model looks nothing like that.
Oh, amusing. Andy, is it for you the same Throne of Skulls?
I enjoy the whole experience of going to Warhammer World every time we do. So the tournaments, I enjoy all the tournaments that we go to. So doubles always stand out as a highlight for me because I just always enjoy playing the game with my buddy, which is Charlie.
I was going to say, do you normally pair up with the same people?
Yeah, we tend to find that when we go to tournaments that after the first doubles we went to, we just kind of automatically end up just going with the same guys because we just kind of I guess we have similar play styles. Just seem to work well with each other. Like we just bounce off each other well.
Yeah, fair enough.
With like Phil and Dean, it's very much like, but I'm going to get in there. It's like a normal person would be like, no, don't do that. But then the other one of them would be like, absolutely do that.
I can just imagine you two.
I think someone described us as a doubles team, which seems like they've got a devil on both shoulders.
That's amazing. Because I've played Dean a few times, and it is very much, oh, shall I do this? Shall I do that? Yeah, let's just charge him in. Let's see what happens.
He does tell me enough that he's like, when I you always do that kind of like debrief after a game, don't you? Where you talk to your friends, tell them how how things do. And Dean's like, I don't know how you would have done that. I haven't got the patience. I would have just gone in.
I'll have to get him on here at some point because he'd be a great laugh to talk to.
Yeah, he'd like to talk to on this.
So kind of one of the final questions from me is, what's the furthest you've travelled to play?
Nottingham.
Yeah, it'll be Nottingham.
Nottingham.
I was going to say, like I said earlier, for us guys, it's a 4.5 hour journey.
Yeah. We've got into, I think it started when the first one we went to, I left the morning of the tournament to get there. So it was like a 5:30 start. And since then, we've always started taking the Fridays off so we can go up.
Yeah. Friday afternoon.
World for the day.
Friday afternoon. Travel up Friday afternoon. Beat all the traffic. Beat the traffic around Birmingham. Get up there for like 4.
We don't. We tend to leave at about 6 o'clock Friday morning to beat all the traffic.
You literally do the whole day.
Spend the whole day there. Because it means that we then get to do kind of like. Most of the times when we go out, we tend to bring somebody else who hasn't been to Warhammer World before.
Okay.
We tend to like convince people to come to a tournament, or they like, okay, I want to do it. So it's nice to have the Friday to be able to do the things of Warhammer World that you can't do when you're doing the tournament.
I was going to say I've been there twice from memory, and getting to look around the exhibition on a tournament weekend is difficult.
It's a rush.
It's like 20 minutes, but you want to spend like an hour in there. But, yeah, I do understand. I do know what you mean.
It's also like the last couple of we've gone up as well. They've put on a train building thing, so they did.
Oh yes.
And this last time was a Rohan house, and we just signed up to do it because at least if anything, it's terrain that we've then made for the club.
Yeah. Do you keep all that kind of terrain in the club, or do you have your own personal terrain collection?
Yeah, we've got a space at the club, and then Phil, I've got some terrain at home, not a lot.
Yeah.
Like I know Phil's got more of an extensive than I do.
Yeah, I ended up getting made terrain officer for the club because I kept just making stuff and taking it along.
Okay.
We're pretty lucky for our gaming space. We've got a dedicated cupboard for us. That's
Because is it in a
rammed with-
community hall or something like that?
It's a sports club that's
Okay.
got a sort of a prefab extension that we've taken over.
Oh, nice.
So
How big is your club? Because it's the Wargamers at Radstock, isn't it?
Wargaming at Radstock,
Yeah.
Probably 30 active members and like 50 people who are in the Facebook group. But that's split over sort of Wednesday evenings and Sunday gaming.
That's still pretty good for what would be a kind of small village.
Yeah. Well, we lure people in from quite far away. We've got some people coming from Bath and Bristol, and some crossing the borders over from Wiltshire as well.
I was going to say, I've not had a chance to come down, but I'm pretty sure we'll have to try and arrange a Guardians hangout at Radstock, and we'll come when all of this crap is over. We'll come.
Great.
Bring 4 or 5 of us down, and we'll come give you a lot of game.
Yeah,
because that'd be pretty cool.
Be awesome.
So do you want to? So how can people find the Fable Creative and get in touch with you guys if they want a commission, conversion, paint job, whatever?
So we've got the Fable Creative Facebook page. I think it's at Fable Minis if you're looking for Instagram, and that's about all we've got at the moment.
I'll put links in the description so people can know where
Fantastic.
you're going.
Thank you. If you want to get in touch with us, send a message through to the page. One of us will get back to you. We'll probably the person who will get back to you will be the person better suited to taking the work on for you, so that discuss it straight away.
I was going to say, like you said earlier, it's nice to have an interest in what you're painting as a commission piece. I think for you guys, as you have quite varying kind of ideas of what you want to paint.
Yeah,
like I said, we kind of share it out evenly, don't we? To a point where it's like this feels more like a Phil thing to do. So it feels obviously more Phil do it. It's like, this feels more like a Dong's thing, so I'll do it. It's just.
I think we both have sort of slightly different painting styles as well, and depending on what the customer wants, what they think will lend itself to the aesthetic they're after will influence which of us will go for it as well.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much for coming and joining me this evening. It's been really good fun.
Thank you.
It's always nice to have a chat with you guys, especially as you're quite close. So if you've liked this video, if you've enjoyed this video, please comment, like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you soon.